Hi there, this is JK. You probably know me as Alucard J, and we're going to continue with the next part of following along with my Slender Guide. Now, I will apologise now, I've just checked the first video, and the frame rate and the microphone is shocking. Absolutely terrible. So, I'm going to do my best to talk as loud as I can, and hopefully there's enough information on the screen to follow along if you cannot hear me. I was suggested to use Cam Studio because it was free, and I really wanted to get a video out because despite all my answers, I really don't like writing that much. So, and for this kind of thing, it's much easier to explain it visually. So, just bear with it. I know it's shocking, but hey, it's one step closer to showing you how it's done. Alright, so, on to the first major part, how to pick up papers. And this is something that a lot of people come back and say, I cannot collect my papers. Well, let's see what we can do about that. Alright, this one gets lost a lot. So, before I start, I mentioned some assets here. Now, there were a million Slender questions and answers out there before me, but I don't know how this one got so popular. But we'll continue. So, if you follow my thing, you find some images. I'm going to import those now. The project is where we last left it, and you can see I forgot to save. Save, save, save. Now I'll bring in those assets. Okay, we'll be using this as we go through. Again, a lot of these came from Unity, first person shooter, which is now not available. I'm sure those sounds came from. This could probably be Boot Camp or Angry Bots, I'm not sure. So, that's important then, hopefully that won't take too long. Okay, so, following along with the guide, create some papers. This part is easy, let's hope so. Game object, create other cube. Straight up, let's name it. Paper. Now, when I wrote this, I try to do it as easily as possible. There's no tags involved. Everything's done by strings, by names. Hopefully something that's easy to follow along with. Wasn't quite so. So, scale 2. 6. 9. Not 1. Fantastic. Very exciting. Oh, of course, because the textures are actually that shape. Underscore textures, of course. Right. So, the very nice fellow on that forum webpage, it's gone through some nice little pictures. Great, chuck them straight in. So, have our paper. We're going to need 8 of these. Duplicate it 7 times. Yeah, make life easy. Duplicate. Alright, we are definitely going to need some materials for all of these. Let's set them up. Okay. Material, paper. 1. Eight materials for 8 papers. Let's assign those materials. Those textures to those materials. Okay, so this is what's going to be happening, huh? These have to be named paper for the guide, so there's no way of differentiating. So let's just keep them in order. It is floating there, something crazy. Of course, all the papers are on top of one another. So, groovy. Material paper 1. Populated there. Rotation 0. Actually, I'm just going to quickly pause this, and you know what's going on. So, all the materials been created and applied to each of the papers. Now, of course, you'd have these scattered around, that's why I had landmarks. But for testing, I'm just going to keep them in this little group here, so we can run through and make sure everyone can collect their papers. All of them. Okay. Material. Create a new script. Call it collect papers. Let's do that. Textures at the moment, don't need materials. Script. Collect papers. Probably going to have the same problem with the indentations being lost. Okay. What's life without a charge? Of course, tab. And as I said before, just follow your curly braces. You can see which one partners with which one. And just slowly tab everything between. Okay. Alright, so before long, it's starting to look like it's supposed to. Not far off, see what that one took 2 seconds. And watch the spaces. Okay, we'll go through this script quickly and simply. Alright, first off, we've got papers which we're keeping account of. We've got the total amount of papers in the scene. Distance to paper is how far away before your raycast will detect the paper and pick it up. Sometimes this is an issue. Maybe you want to bring it up to about 3.5, 4.5, but be realistic. You don't want to be standing 50 meters away and be able to pick everything up. Okay. Also got a variable here for an audio clip sound and a reference to the enemy. Now, before too long, actually right now, this is going to throw an error. There we go. The name enemy script does not denote a valid type because it doesn't exist, and we are trying to access it. So let's get rid of that error. Let's just quickly create scripts. Create JavaScript enemy script. This is just to get rid of the error. Okay. So that's not clearing because we've got reduced distance. It's not a member enemy script. This Isn't that fun? The enemy reduced distance. I'll tell you what, I'm going to comment this out for now. I'm not going to touch that one. We're working on papers. So, that's commented out for now. Back to Unity. And all is well in the world. So, where does this live? Collect papers. I guess it would be part of the character. Yeah. Attach it to the player. Sounds good. Okay, I'll go through these after we've completed that. First person controller. Lovely small screen. Just collapse all that. And papers. Right. Papers. Fantastic. Because the way the script's set up, it's already attached an audio source component for you. One thing we want to do though is turn off play on awake, because we're not going to be playing anything on awake. Now for my audio clip, using one of the sounds from Unity. So I think it was just tink. Give it a bit of a tink. That was nice and loud. I won't do that again. Okay, first person controller, everything's there, everything's happening. Oh, see, I've made my own mistake jumping ahead. We do not want to attach it to here, so we'll make that none. You see, I've created a variable for the audio clip because this will be playing one shot. So we're not actually going to be playing the audio that's automatically associated to the component. We're going to be playing one shot of an audio clip we specify, but we still need an audio source to make that happen. Alright, so back to my metal audio. Enemy scripts, that's inbuilt to find itself, and it's not going to throw any errors because we're not using it. Alright, so essentially everything's in there. Go through the script. As I said, when we tap into the enemy, we're going to be looking for the enemy and storing a reference to that. But what we're looking at is how this works for now. Okay, if the mouse button is pressed, take a step back. First of all, screen lock cursor is equal to true. So we are removing the cursor from the screen. Now this kind of breaks in the editor, the Unity editor. On standalone it's totally fine, you won't have any problems, but there's so many people saying I can't pick up papers in the editor. So what I've done is just written in an OR, you press the E button. And that's what I suggest. While you're testing in the editor, try not to use the mouse to pick up, alright? It will be there in the game, and you can still try it and test it, and 9 times out of 10 it'll work. But just to be on the safe side, use E. Alright, so if we take input from the player, we are declaring a ray, and we're going to cast the ray from the center of the screen. So that is the width by half, and it's the height by half. So we're going to cast a ray right from the center of our vision. Okay? And we're looking for what that hits. Okay, so, and if that ray from the center does hit something within a distance to paper, okay, we've hit something. We want to check what it is. If that hit the collider and the game object of that collider, and the name of the game object is paper, we're going to increment our paper. So we just picked up a paper. Alright, and then here's our play clipper point. So we get a nice little sound just to let us know, yep, you picked that up. And then we are going to destroy the paper. Later on, probably advance into bringing up a full screen rendering of this paper before it's destroyed. But for now, this is what it's in. So this is all set up. Let's see if people are still having problems picking up papers. First of all, I'm going to save scene. Always save, save, save. Okay, we hit play. I did move my character close to the paper, so things are going to happen. Null reference exception. Got an error. Let's double click and see. The enemy game object. Because I'm asking it to find something, and at the same time, I'm asking it to get a component. So if the first part cannot be found, there's no component to be found, to be acquired. Okay, so this is the part that's throwing the error. So what we can do, split this up. The enemy. What's he doing? This time for sure. And E, which would be type game object equals this part, right? So we're going to find the enemy, and so we don't get that null again, we're going to check if enemy. Now this is a tricky little way of finding out if something exists or not. Normally you look at it if something is either true or false when you use a variable like that, but Unity's groovy like that. Okay, so at the moment, if we had enemy game object, right, that would be a null. There's nothing existing on it. The variable has been declared, but it has not been assigned. Okay, so if we fall down to this from this section, var enemy. Okay, if enemy, enemy's a null. We haven't given it anything. We just said, hey, enemy's there, but we don't know what it is. All right. So now, enemy's game object of find enemy. Okay. So if we found the enemy, then we want to get the components enemy script from the enemy game object. Okay. So we'll save that out and see what's happening. All right. Now you remember the error. Let's just clear that because that was in runtime. Okay. Let's hit play again. Beauty. No error. So what's happened in the script is it said find the enemy game object. It couldn't find the enemy game object, so it's gone ahead and just ignored the get component. Alright, oh look, I didn't even reset the flickering flashlight. Okay, let's just fix that up too. A couple of things I was doing while mucking around. First person controller, main camera, the spotlight. Let's just bring that up to its default settings. Reset, bang, 6120, everything's happy. First person controller, let's just get back down to realistic. Character motor, movement, let's just say 8. Alright, pick jump height 1, this guy doesn't need to be save it out, hit play. Crunch time, people. All you naysayers, let's see if we can go and pick up some papers. Alright, as I said, let's look at paper, hit the E. Wow, look at that, the paper is gone. Let's just pick up another old one, eh? Wow, I put these close to the ground, didn't I? Dink, 2 papers. Alright? So, as I said, I do fail to understand why people had problems with this here. It was a bit of a mystery to me. But anyway, there we go. So, we've got 4 papers. May as well get them all. See, that was a bit close. Alright? This is where we can start playing with values. So, while it's running, let's just have a quick muck around. First person controller, distance to paper. So increment it, 3.5. Okay. Back in the game. As you see, the mouse, the hide is already broken because I paused and whatnot. So now if you try and click a paper where you can see the cursor. Hey, see, like I said, it's still 9 times out of 10 will work. But, just to be sure, just use the E in the editor. E. Okay, lucky last. Oh, see, that's still a bit far away. That's a good test, alright? Say you wanted it about there. It's not quite there. Just muck around with some numbers, okay? Let's just bring it up to 4. Tune the play on that. Hit E. That's still not quite 4 meters, is it? Alright. Bring it up to 4.5. E. Not quite, but if I just... That can't be more than 4 meters, can it? Alright. Computer says no. 5.5. There we go. That's a kind of reasonable distance. So that's what we'll do. We'll leave that at 5.5. Okie dokie. All papers collected. Ta-da! So remember that value, of course. Distance is now going to be 5.5. Save it out. And that, my friends, concludes section 3, picking up papers. I really don't know what else to say from here. You know, like, the proof's in the pudding, and you just saw me create 8 cubes, attach materials to those cubes. That's all. Nothing else. Then I created a script. Okay, we attach that script to the player. We did do a little bit of editing because of the errors, right? Because we're looking for enemy, because this has already been advanced. Okay, so hopefully I explained that out well enough that you can see what's happening there. Alright, so we're ignoring the enemy for now, looking for a mouse and an E, casting a ray. If the ray hits something within now 5.5, we're incrementing, we're playing audio, and we're destroying. I really hope everybody's picking up papers. Please. Okay, happy coding. See you on the next one.